our mail.
Save 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 our mail.
Protect our right to vote. Protect our right to vote.
Protect our right to vote.
Save our mail.
Save our mail.
Protect our right to vote.
I want to say thank you very much for being here today. We're here for a reason. We are here to say we reject voter suppression in any form that it presents itself. When you shut down the post office, the postal service, is pretty fundamental.
Yes.
It's pretty basic.
Yes, it is.
It's an attack on our basic democratic rights.
Yes.
So we stand here today to essentially say to the Trump administration, we will not stand for this. We know that this is a basic service of the United States government, and to do it at the point in time that we are preparing for an election of the highest level in the United States, to try to cause people not to have access by vote by mail is essentially the lowest of the dirty tricks that we can imagine, and we stand here today to say that we will not accept that. We're here in the form of 721 SEIU 2015. The Democratic Party, and we're here as members of the Empowerment Congress. We're here to say right here at the Tom Bradley Post Office at 39th and Central, we reject this tactic of voter suppression. That's essentially what it is. So we want to send a message to the White House.
Yes.
Reverse your trend. You need to restore every cut that you've made. You need to reject that, whoever that person thinks he is, in terms of one of your pals who is the U.S. Postal Master, Postal General. We don't accept that. Has no credentials. The only thing he came to do was to destroy the Postal Service and essentially violate our basic rights as citizens who ought to be able to vote unfettered. Now, I want to be very clear about something. We wouldn't be much if we memorialized Congressman John Lewis just a few days ago and stood idly by and let this president, he who calls himself the president, destroy the very notion for which John Lewis stood, who spilled a little blood on that bridge. And so we're here to stand in the tradition of the civil rights movement, of the movement for reimagining LA, for a movement that's reimagining America. America with a new president, in fact, and that's what we want to say in no uncertain terms. When we think it's bad, somehow he figures out how to make it worse. And so we are determined to lift our voices, to express in no uncertain terms that this is a fundamental violation of the history of the struggle for Voting Rights Act and voter empowerment. And so we are here to essentially stand and exercise this mask. Stand in the tradition of the Voting Rights Act. Stand in the tradition of the best of the American representation for justice and exercising the right to vote. It's pretty basic, and anybody who would dare deny it is attacking all persons who have the right to vote, regardless of what your political view is. You cannot tolerate an attack on the Postal Service. How much more basic does it get than that? I'll have a few more words to say, but right now I want to ask the local chairman of the Democratic Party of the County of Los Angeles, the one and only, Mark Gonzalez, to come and have a word. Gotta clean up, baby.
Okay.
Thank you, brother Ridley-Thomas. My name is Mark Gonzalez, and I'm chairman of Los Angeles County Democratic Party. In a county of 10 million people, city of Los Angeles has 4 million people. But in our county, we represent 3 million Democrats. 3 million. We're 76 days away from this election. Tonight, our party nominates our California Senator, Kamala Harris, for Vice President. And tomorrow, Joe Biden accepts his nomination. I'm proud to stand here with Supervisor Mark Ridley-Thomas, who continues to be a voice for families and communities all across Los Angeles, and will continue to do that as our next city council member for District 10. There they go. It's why he brought so many of us here today. Democracy wasn't under attack, starting with Donald Trump. Republicans have always been using voter suppression tactics for over a decade, as their popularity declined. They have not won the popular vote since 2004 because they have no record of accomplishments. Just ask them, what exactly have they accomplished for the American people? Yesterday, the Postmaster General said he would halt any changes to the Postal Service, but that's not enough, because we still have a lot of work to do after Election Day as we head into the holiday season. He needs to reverse the damage his decisions have already caused, so when he can reverse the damage of the last 3 years of the administration. In places like Crenshaw, we need to make sure that everyone has the ability to exercise their right to vote.
That's right.
All right? Which is why I'm calling on the Registrar Recorder's Office to once again ensure that all voting options are available on Election Day. Because Election Day is not just November 3rd, it's 2 weeks before November 3rd.
That's right, that's right.
And they have the infrastructure in place to execute, especially in this time of uncertainty. Angelenos and Californians are counting on their local leaders to make sure they make democracy easier, not harder. When you get your ballots, when they drop in October, remember a few things. Vote early. Return your ballot as soon as you receive it. Because here in California, the state is paying for your postage. So there's no excuse.
Right?
And once you vote, text or call 3 friends and have them all call their friends on, and make sure we get our people out to vote. Because we know that in this pandemic, there are people who are in lines for food. There are people who have lost their jobs and can't even get through to the EDD. But the one thing that can't be taken away from them is your votes. And that is what's killing the Republican administration. Because at the end of the day, the post office delivers credibility. And they know it, and we know it. The post office delivers credibility. So this November 3rd, we're going to return the sender, Mr. Donald Trump. So I went ahead and went inside and got Mr. Trump his official change of address kit provided by the post office. So let's make sure we do that, because they are not going to suppress our vote, sisters and brothers. And thank you all for being here today.
All right. Thank you. Give Mark another big round of applause. Did well because he has a good first name. Give him another round of applause. So, I like that change of address. Yeah, that's right. We'll have a personnel change in the White House come November the 3rd. Let me say this, if you don't vote on November the 3rd, don't you dare complain on November the 4th.
That's right.
You got an obligation. And so I'm going to produce a motion that essentially joins our exemplary State Attorney General Javier Becerra. I'm going to ask, and I'll read it so that everyone knows that I therefore move that the Board of Supervisors authorize the County Council to join and or file in litigation an amicus curiae aimed to prevent post office changes that threaten the public's ability to vote by mail and obtain life-saving medication, and oppose the Trump administration's further attempts through the Postmaster General Louis DeJoy's recent post office change and otherwise to compromise the public's constitutional rights and to protect the integrity of the nation's postal services, including the pending case captioned State of Washington et al. Versus Donald J. Trump. This will then be introduced today, and any other litigation deemed appropriate, the county council by action of the Board of Supervisors, when it does act, will be in place. This is what we have to do. We have to demonstrate at the post office, and then we have to go to the halls of government and cause government to do what it needs to do. We have to use every tool at our disposal. We have to engage in nonviolent direct action on a bridge called the Edmund Pettus. We have to engage in dialogue. We have to write legislation, and we have to do public policy. Mr. Trump, we're going to do it all in order to let you know that we refuse to let the clock be turned back on our watch. That is not what we will do. That is not what we will tolerate, even when it's hot out here. We stand up for what's right. Can't get too hot. Martin Luther King said it, I believe, is always the right time to do the right thing, and this is the right thing to protect the jobs of the men and women in this postal service and to protect and secure the promises of democracy. We thank you for your presence today.